Good evening. On behalf of Centro de Idiomas of Universidad de Piura and the Language Center of Universidad de Piura, let me welcome you to our C1 Advanced course. As I said before, my name is Cesar Orozco, and I'll be in charge of helping you in getting the credentials you need in order to pass the C1 Advanced exam. Obviously, we know this is a daunting challenge because, first of all, because the C1 Advanced is not an easy exam, and two, because of the conditions we're facing nowadays. We are used to practicing this on a paper-based environment, but now we have to do it in a, well, let's call it computer-based. Actually, it is not like that, but we have to adapt to the situations. Now, obviously, in this our first session, I'm gonna present the course as it is with our guidelines, with the things that I expect from you, obviously presenting you the material that we are going to use. I believe you are already aware that we are going to be using two, let's say, virtual platforms that, of course, are going to be quite useful for us to, well, to get what we want, which is our certificate. I don't know if you have anything to say before we start with the class. Carlos, Alejandra, Milagros, Laura, Lucia, Patricia, Angie, Adria, I suppose it's Adria, Anna, Carla. Is that okay? Okay, so let's begin. Let me share my screen for a moment. And we are going to start by providing the guidelines of our course. Obviously, in case you have questions, please do not hesitate and ask me, either through the chat box or just by raising your hand, and I'll be more than happy to help you with those doubts that you may have. Okay? Oh, sorry. Okay, so as I said before, this is our C1 Advanced Preparation course. I mean, former known as the CAE examination. My name is Cesar Orozco Rojas, as I said before, and these are the objectives of the course. Basically, we have two objectives. The first one being, obviously, to get familiar with the format and the assessment of the C1 Advanced exam, because that is the first thing that we have to do, and actually that is the first thing that we are going to do today. We cannot attack the exam. We cannot pretend to prepare ourselves for the exam if we don't know the exam. We have to become experts in the exam. We have to become the best friend of the exam in order to know how to tackle every single component of the exam. And that is the first mistake that many candidates make. They don't know the exam. They are not familiar with the components. They are not familiar with the tasks. So they don't know how to attack the exam. And that is the thing that we are going to do. If you were expecting just to have exercises like normal courses, that is not going to be the case here. We are gonna get to know the exam better. Now, that is our first objective. And obviously, and I think the most important one, is to provide techniques and recommendations. Because let's face it, there are many, let's say, videos or many experts out there that might say different things. Obviously, some of those things are correct, some of those things are incorrect, but they are there, and we have to accept that. And ideally here, we're gonna provide you with the things you need for each particular section of the exam. Obviously, this requires a lot of attention from your side. This requires a lot of practice, because it is not just enough for you to just do the things that we have here or in Mail. We're gonna talk about Mail in a moment. But you need to, make sure that you practice what we present to you in here. So basically, these are our two objectives. Obviously, these are our general objectives. Within each of the classes, we are going to have specific objectives depending on the part of the exam that we are going to develop. Okay, so next. Now, these are our course guidelines. Obviously, I really recommend you to stick to them as much as possible. These are mainly informational, but of course, there are some things that I actually expect from you. So if, first of all, if you have any situation that needs for you to be out of the class, or you cannot attend to the class, please let me know. It's important that you let me know so that one, I can plan my activities in advance, and two, obviously I can report your attendance, the attendance register to the language center, and of course see if everything is working properly. Now, obviously, let's start with this. We know that we have 16 online sessions, and I mean sessions by this, because obviously during the week you can work your English abilities or your expertise in the exam through my English lab. But we know that we're going to start today, August 14th, until November 27th. So that makes 16 Fridays from 6 to 8. Obviously, our online sessions will be through Zoom, so I really recommend you to, as I said in my presentation email, to check your devices, your headphones, your earphones, your computer, your internet connection, so that you have no problems with, with this kind of technology. Obviously, as I said before, the further practice that you are going to have is located in my English lab. In some minutes, we are gonna go take a glance at it. But let me tell you something. What you're gonna find at my English lab is related to skills, because there are some skills that you need to, handle efficiently if you want to be able to actually work with a particular part of the exam. So the skills that you need to work for the exam, aka identifying main idea, reading for gist, reading for specific information, listening for opinion, etc. That's what you're going to find in my English lab. You have more than 100 exercises there for you to get the practice that you need towards the skills. Because what we are going to do here and what you are going to find in UDEV Virtual are the strategies, the techniques, aka for reading part 5, this is what you have to do. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. For speaking part 3, this is what you have to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in here, we are going to give you the strategy to attack each particular section of the exam. So that if we combine the skills that you're gonna practice at my English lab, plus the strategies and techniques and advices that we are gonna give you here, that provokes or that makes a powerful combo that is gonna help you of course, to get the result that you want. Now, as I said before, this preparation course is based on skills and techniques and obviously strategies, not grammar. And this is something I want to make I want to state very clearly. Even though we might check some particular grammatical point, especially in use of English part 4, or perhaps a specific grammatical point that you want to stress out while we are practicing our writings, we are not going to have any grammar lessons in here, because this is not a language course, this is a preparation course. So because we come with the idea that you already handle the grammatical points that you should use at this level of the exam, at this level of the Cambridge examinations. That's why we are not going to devote ourselves to actually do any grammatical practice. I wanted to make this very clear so that there are no misunderstandings later. Obviously, I can provide you with materials that you can use in order to practice your grammar. That's something I can do and I will do. But as I said, unless it is necessary, we are not going to go over grammar. Okay, so I wanted to make that statement before we continue with the course. Obviously, I don't call it homework, but let's say that there are activities for you to do, or there are activities that I expect you to do. Obviously, the first activity that I expect you to do are the weekly practices or the weekly activities at MEL. As I said before, there are more than 100 activities there, but obviously I don't want you to work all of them. I am gonna select the ones that you are gonna find in there that I consider that you can practice in a specific week. Now, you're gonna find this organization at UDEV Virtual. Let me tell you something. I mean, until now, I haven't posted the schedule yet because there are some, let's say, issues that I have to, accommodate, and that's why I didn't want to put it there. So I didn't want to create any misunderstandings. I'm gonna put it by the end of the weekend, so that by Monday or Tuesday, you're gonna find what we are going to do in all of our 16 sessions. so that you can plan your time ahead, you can plan your activities, and obviously you can find the practice time that you need. Then the remaining activities in the handout. What do I mean? At UDEP Virtual, you're gonna find handouts. You're gonna find handouts related. Okay, Carlos, there is a strange sound in the background. I don't know, maybe it's my connection, maybe it's yours, but well, I cannot do anything about it. Okay, there are activities that you're gonna find, there are handouts that you're gonna find at UDEP Virtual. And those are the handouts that I expect you to do. Now, we are gonna use those handouts in here, and the remaining ones are the ones that I expect you to do. Obviously, this is not a school. I am not gonna be asking you to give me those, but that's for you to get further practice. Ideally, we're gonna have one or two of those practices here, and the remaining 3 will be for you. You're gonna find the answer keys at UDEP Virtual, so you have just to click on the link and you're gonna find everything that you need. And next, obviously, we cannot forget the importance of the writing practice. So that's why I am gonna ask you to provide me or to give me 1 written assignment per session. So if we have 16 sessions through our course, that means I expect you to give me 16 pieces of writing. Obviously, before the end of the class, I'm gonna show you the kind of writing that I want. Obviously, that kind of writing will be attached to the specific things that we are gonna cover during the sessions. And ideally, I am going to give you feedback over them. So if you give me 16 papers, I will correct those 16 papers, and you're gonna get feedback for each one of them. But of course, if you don't give me anything, then I cannot give you any feedback. So even though it is not, let's say, a mandatory homework, it is not a mandatory homework. It's, let's say, highly recommended that you comply with this guideline. So, for example, today you're gonna find at UDEP Virtual your first written assignment, which is an essay. It's a diagnostic essay that I want you to write to see where you are in terms of essay writing. Obviously, as I said before, if you know that you're going to be absent for any given situation, or you know you're going to have some kind of problems, please do not hesitate and contact me. That's my email address and the UDEP Virtual, the Idiomas Lima address. And as far as I know, we have a chat group, so you may want to write your situation in there so that we can provide you with the assistance in case you need it. And that will be all. Now, after this, I really hope that you have some questions that you would like me to answer. So I don't know if there are some things that you would like to say besides the noise that we can listen in the background. Okay? Do you have any questions?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Carlos.
Hi, my name is Carlos, and I have a question. What is UDEP Virtual and what is MEL? So I'm thinking that those are like virtual platform. Could you explain a little bit about it?
Actually, I'm gonna show them to them. I'm gonna show them to you. Okay, don't worry, yes. Just in case, as far as I know, when you registered to the course, they told you that we were gonna use 2 platforms. UDEP Virtual and My English Lab. My English Lab is MEL. Obviously, MEL is for you to get further practice towards the skills that you need in order to pass the exam. And UDEP Virtual is like, let's say, the place where you're gonna find all the theoretical background and all the theoretical explanations of the techniques and the strategies that you need for the exam. So, before we continue, let me show you what we have here. Let me show you, first of all, My English Lab, because as this is going to be the main source of our course. Where is this? It's here, okay. It's, the thing is that since I have so many windows open, it's not really working well. See? Wait, give me a moment, please. Okay. Connection is not working properly, but we are there. Okay, here we are. There is, let's see, my English lab. So this is my English lab. As far as I know, you have already been given your access code. In case you haven't received that, please contact Centro de Idiomas to see if there is a problem with your registration or with your code. But eventually you're gonna get it, and this is basically what you are going to find. I'm gonna switch to, if possible, okay, this is our course. Cambridge Prep C1 Advanced Cesar Orozco, that's the course, this is our course. So let's try to go in there. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, this is it. Okay, so as you can see, this is where you are going to find exercises related to the different skills that you need to practice for the exam. You're going to find videos in which you're going to find explanations related to each of the components and each of the parts of the exam. They're going to give you the basics, the basic information that you know, and obviously we're going to expand this information in our online sessions. And as you can see, you are going to find, let me show it to you. As I said, you're going to find videos related to, for example, reading part 1. Obviously, they're going to give you, as I said, the basics that you need in order to get to know this particular part. And also, and this is the important thing here, you're going to find the practice. Okay? So as you can see here, okay, obviously this is something that I have already adjusted to you. If you log in right now, you're going to find just these 2 exercises. But eventually, I'm going to be opening more exercises so that you get practice over all these parts of speech, all these strategies, or sorry, skills, or all these information related to, in this case, use of English. As I said before, my English lab, or in case I haven't said that, my English lab has more than 100 exercises. I mean, specifically designed for you to get as much practice as possible for the C1 Advanced exam. And as you can see, it is very well divided by paper, and also it offers, let's say, a section for vocabulary practice. So in the schedule that I'm going to show you in a moment, you are going to find the section that I expect you to practice during the week. Obviously, I understand that most of you are teachers, most of you are really busy during the week, but I really recommend you to find the time so that you can get as much practice as possible. Now, obviously, all your work in here is going to be registered. It's going to be registered in this great book. Obviously, I'm not going to show you this because, well, so far now it's empty. But this is where I am going to track your work. Obviously, if I see that you are not working, I am not going to, well, this is not school. As I said, I am not going to be telling you, hey, you have to work, etc. But obviously, I'm going to try to recommend you to find the time to practice for your exam. So this is what you're going to find in my English lab. And as I said before, by now you should have your registration code. I mean, at least that's what I've been told 30 minutes ago. But in case you don't have it, please contact Centro de Idiomas to see if there is a particular situation related to your registration in my English lab. It doesn't mean that you are not registered in the course. It means that you are not registered in my English lab. So maybe there is something there. I have no, let's say, inherence in whatever administrative problems there are. My recommendation is go and ask. That's everything I can say about it. But this is my English lab. So I really recommend you to take full advantage of this material. To be honest, I've been checking this material. It's fantastic. I think it's one of the most complete sources of information related to the C1 Advanced that we have out there. So it's a fantastic tool that I believe you're gonna find quite useful. That is related to my English lab. Now, let me refer now to UDEP Virtual. UDEP Virtual is, let's say, is designed by Universidad de Piura, and it is in this course where you are going to find, as I said, the theoretical knowledge that you need for the exam. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. Okay. Okay, this is UDEP Virtual. As I said, by now you should have access to this platform. As far as I know, and I can show you here, all of you are already registered in the course. All of you are already registered in the course. I see that some of you have already entered to this UDEP Virtual. So I really recommend you to get in here as much as possible, because this is where you are going to find, as I said, the information related to the strategies and the techniques and recommendations you need for each particular section of the exam. For example, let me show you just a moment. Reading. You just see reading part 5, because this is the part that we're going to work today. As soon as I finish presenting the course, we're going to start working on this. But as you can see, and as you will see when you log in there, you're going to find the overview and technique. And this is, I believe, the most important document of each of the sections, because in here you're going to find step by step what you should do in that particular part of the exam. So this is the, let's say, the section that you need to read, analyze, and understand in order for you to know the specifics of each particular section. In this PDF attachment that you see there, you're going to find the activities or the handouts that we are going to use in that particular section. Obviously, I really recommend you right now, try to get into UDEP Virtual, and please go to this section, reading part 5, from theory to practice. And this is the PDF. In this PDF, you're going to find the exercises that we are going to be working in every single class. As you can read in the description, there are 5 exercises there. Ideally, we're going to try to work 2 in class or 3, depending on the timing, and the remaining ones are expected to be worked at home as even further practice for you. And in case you want to find something online related to this specific part, this link will help you with that. As you can see, you are going to find information related to all the components of the examination. Plus, you're going to find a section of further materials and a section for the written assignments. And if we come down here, this is where you're going to find your first assignment, which is, as I said, an essay. If you know how to write an essay, fantastic. If you don't know how to write an essay, no problem. This is a diagnostic test. So I need to know where you are in terms of essay writing, so I can start planning our strategy towards that based on the information that you give me in this, well, let's say mock or diagnostic test. And where are you going to find that mock? In here. This is the diagnostic test. So please, at the end of the class, go over this diagnostic test. Try to do it at home, try to test yourself, trying to imitate as much as possible the conditions of the exam, but you have to send me just that writing paper, which is just for this occasion, the essay. And there is something I want you to do, I would like you to do. In here, I have, like a survey, getting to know you. Please try to open it later, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe over the week, and try to fill the information that you're going to find there. In that way, I am going to get some information about you, not only your names, as you can see, your experience in learning English, your experience in examinations like this, your expectations over the course, so that from there I can actually see or make some adjustments to what we are going to present in our sessions. Okay, so first, as I show you, we had My English Lab and we have Udemy Virtual. So please try to handle both platforms easily so that you have no problems finding the materials that you need. Okay, I'm gonna stop my sharing right now for a moment. And again, I'm coming back to you guys. I don't know if you have, again, based on this information, further questions. Carlos, I don't know if I answer your question. Obviously, I mean, in the process of working with the platforms, you're gonna get more familiar with what I meant. Is that okay now? Okay, so far, I believe so far so good. So I believe so far so good because there are no questions, not even here, not even in the chat. Okay, so let's continue now. Let's continue with our presentation. And after presenting the guidelines, we are going to start officially with our first session. And in this first session, we are going to do this. Obviously, as I said before, we need to work the overview of the exam. We need to know the exam. I mean, for starters, I would like you to think about this exam as a beast. So this is a beast. So the C1 Advanced, I mean, the whole examination is a beast, and you want to conquer this beast. But obviously, in order to conquer this beast, you need to know something in advance. You need to know the beast. You need to know his strengths and his weaknesses. And this beast has 23 weapons that can destroy you. And by 23 weapons, I mean each particular part of the exam. The whole exam has 23 sections, possible sections, obviously, because in some cases you can choose. But you have to be ready to cope with every single one of them. And obviously, some of those sections are going to be easier for you. Some of those sections are going to be really difficult for you. So those are your strengths and weaknesses. And that is the second thing that you need to know. And you have to be honest with yourself. If you know that you struggle in writing, then we have to give you the conditions to improve in your writing scores. If you know that you have, if you are good at reading, for example, it doesn't mean that you are not going to practice reading. It means that you are going to keep practicing reading in order to improve that already, let's say, good performance that you have. But you need to know your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to know the exam's strengths and weaknesses. And this is what we're going to do right now. Obviously, we're gonna start by checking the reading component, and we are gonna check the reading assessment criteria. That's something that is important too. Some candidates go to the exam and they don't even know how they're gonna be evaluated, and that's a crime. That's a capital crime in terms of preparation. And after that, we are going to start our preparation with reading part 5, which is, I believe, the most famous, let's say, part of the reading and use of English exam. And depending on the time, we're gonna start with the speaking. Again, with the overview, a quick overview, and the speaking assessment criteria, so that we can start next session by giving you what you need for speaking part 1. So basically, this is what we are going to do now, and this is what we are gonna start doing right now. So please be ready to work with these particular sections. Now, as I said before, we are going to get to know the C1 Advanced Examination. And for that, I'm gonna ask you to get on to check the chat. Please, right now, okay, oops, sorry. I'm gonna ask you, please. Okay, Milagros, I'm gonna try to make them bigger. Okay. Let me resize this. Okay, fine. Better like this. Okay, so I'm gonna provide you in the chat with a link in a moment, and I would really like you to go in there so that you can work what I have for you, okay? So please check the chat right now and go over there. And please, when they ask you for the code, this is the code that or the game pin, this is what I would like you to include. Okay. Okay, please go to kahoot.it and please insert that game pin. And we are going to use this tool in order to see how much information you already know about the C1 advanced examination. Okay, let me share my screen with you so that we know what we are going to do. Okay, I'm using Goose. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so far we have three persons registered. So of course I didn't want you to write your official names. So because I don't want you to, well, to feel bad in case you get bad results. Let's say bad results. This is just for general knowledge. Okay, so let's wait for 30 more seconds until we get everybody in this section. Okay, so far we have 8 players. How many are we? We are 3, 6, 9, 12. We are 14 so far. 14. Yes, we are 14. So no more players. Okay, diplomat glider. Okay, 9 players. Bee, we have a bee, hamster, otter, glider, bunny, penguin, a hamster, okay, a frog, then what else? A goose, a rhino, an ibex. Okay, 3 players are missing. Please. Okay. So I expect the remaining players to get in there. Thank you very much, 12 players. We are expecting 2 more. In the next 10 seconds, we're gonna start with the activity, okay? You know what a Kahoot is, so I don't have to tell you how to play it. But in case you forgot, please remember you have to click on the shape that contains the answer that you think it is. Okay. Lots of things in here. Okay. I'm just gonna eliminate the volume. There you are. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Patricia, for letting me know that. Okay, so we are 12 players, so we waited for a long time. So let's start. Okay, let's see. According to the Cambridge English Scale, how many points should you score to pass the C1 advanced exam? Click on the shape, please. Yes, we according to the Cambridge English Scale, we need 180 points to pass the exam. Okay, now what is the Cambridge English Scale? That's something that we're gonna see after this Kahoot, but this is something that you need to know. Your magic number right now is 180 points. Okay, so that's the number that you need to put in your heads from now. 180 points, that's what you need. Let's continue. Let's put this here. Next. Okay. Do you receive a certificate if you don't pass the C1 advanced exam? Okay, that's a tricky question. Actually, the question is a tricky one too. Yes and no. Now, obviously, if you pass the exam, you're gonna receive a certification. You're gonna receive the certificate. But if you don't pass the exam, you are going, and you get, let's say, a B2 level, that means FCE level, you're gonna receive like, okay, let's call it in Spanish, constancia. Okay, so that constancia is gonna state that you took the exam, you took the C1 advanced exam, but you didn't pass, but at least you get a B2 level. And this is the important thing. It is not a certificate. If you present that certificate into, for example, universities or let's say language centers, etc. Okay, it states that you took the exam, but you didn't pass. And obviously, if you take the exam and you don't score or you don't get to at least a B2 level, you get nothing, not even thinking. Okay, not even your money back. So that's what you need to know. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I'm using Goose. Number 3, how many papers does the C1 advanced exam have? Okay, that's another tricky question because many persons get confused with the term papers. Okay, there are 4 papers. There are 4 papers. Reading and use of English, writing, listening, and speaking. Even though we don't have a physical paper for the speaking exam, it is considered to be a paper in Cambridge, let's say, jargon. In Cambridge jargon or in Cambridge terminology, the speaking is a paper, speaking paper exam. Let's say a speaking exam, it's a speaking paper, just to be honest. Okay, next. Okay, mountain wombat, great. Next, how many components does the C1 Advanced have? One thing is parts or papers, another thing is components. It has 5 components. So it has 4 papers, but 5 components. Why? Because remember that the reading and use of English paper has 2 components, the reading component and the use of English component. So you have to be careful with that, because some persons think, okay, I have 4 papers, my exam is going to have just 4 exams, or sorry, 4, let's say 4 divisions, and that's not the case. It has 5, and you have to be careful. You have to be very careful with that. Now, let's continue. How many parts does the reading component have? Now we are getting deeper in the parts on each of the parts. It has 5 parts, not 8. It has 5 parts. I said reading, not use of English. Of course, if you put reading and use of English together, you have 8 parts. So the reading and use of English paper has 8 parts. But if you just count the ones that are related to reading, we have only 5. So remember, 5 parts are related to reading, and the remaining 3 are related to use of English. And that's something that you need to remember. Okay. Next, which components of the exam have the same number of parts? So let's remember that Cambridge usually, is trying to, put all the exams under the same format, and this is something that you should know too. Again, speaking and listening have the same number of parts. Each of them has 4 parts. Speaking 4 parts, listening 4 parts. So far, reading 5 parts, use of English 3 parts, speaking and listening 4 parts. Okay. How much time does the speaking component take? Okay, that's something important that we need to take into account, especially for timing. 15 minutes. So, okay, most of you got it right, 15 minutes, but you don't forget that sometimes you might get the opportunity to work in groups of 3. So if you get the chance to do that, the exam is going to go up to 20 minutes. Ideally, if you're working in pairs, 15 minutes, but if you're gonna work in a group of 3, be ready to talk for at least 20 minutes. Okay. Next, can you still pass the exam if you fail one component? Okay, Emma Stone says yes or no. True, yes, you can pass. Obviously, that is not the best case. We don't want you to fail any of the components, sorry. But in case you have that situation, don't panic. You can still pass the exam depending, obviously, on the remaining sections of your work. And that's something that the Cambridge English Scale is going to explain better. Okay. Next, how long do the reading and use of English combined and writing component take? Obviously, this is important in order to prepare your strategy towards those parts. 90 minutes, because the reading and use of English component and the writing component, each of them take 1 hour, 30 minutes, or 90 minutes. Okay, and the point would be number 3, the gazelle, number 2, a goose for the second place, and the first place would be for the otter. Fantastic, great job. Thank you very much for your participation there. Now, obviously, besides the game, it's important that you know this stuff. You may say, Cesar, this is not going to help me with the exam. Believe me, it is going to help you, because the more information you have towards the specifics of the exam, the better prepared you're going to be. Okay? And remember, you never know. Sometimes we have persons in here that want to teach these courses, so it is important that you know this information so that you can prepare a better combo when you have the chance to prepare your courses, your C1 advanced courses, in case you want to pursue that particular, let's say, objective. Now, let's continue now. And we are about to finish with the presentation of the parts so that we can go to the actual practice of what we want. In the meantime, please, as I said, try to go to UDEP Virtual so that you can find the reading and use of the reading section in there. Okay, I'm gonna try to leave it there so that you can see what I am, my slides. Okay, so as I was saying at the beginning of the Kahoot, it's important that you know about the Cambridge English Scale. So it is quite important that you know what the English language Cambridge English Scale is. In case you took the, let's say, the B2 examination after the 2015, you are somehow familiar with this. But in case you haven't, this is a key piece of information that you need to handle. This information is already at UDEP Virtual, but in case you haven't seen it, we are gonna check it right now. Now, let me just check if I have shared sound with you so that you can watch it without problems. Let's see, okay, the sound is ready. Let's see.
The Cambridge English Scale is the new and enhanced way we will be reporting results for some of our exams from 2015. It builds on the way we currently report results and is based on many years of research. It will provide simpler, clearer, and more detailed results. What is the Cambridge English Scale? The Cambridge English Scale is a range of scores used to report results for Cambridge English exams. You may be familiar with the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, or CEFR. It is the international standard for describing ability in languages, and is a broad reference scale of language proficiency. The Cambridge English Scale is designed to complement the CEFR. The difference is that the scale gives a more detailed result than the CEFR alone. See how both of these candidates are at level B2, but their scores on the scale show that one has a higher level of English than the other. Results for almost all Cambridge English exams will be reported on the Cambridge English Scale, starting with Cambridge English First, including First for Schools, Cambridge English Advanced, and Cambridge English Proficiency. IELTS is mapped to, but will not be reported on the Cambridge English Scale. Our exams are focused on different levels of the CEFR, and they are mapped to particular points on the scale. No matter which exam is taken, the same level of ability is represented by the same score. So, a candidate who scores 185 taking Cambridge English First would be expected to achieve 185 in Cambridge English Advanced. This will make results easier to understand. It will also be clear to see how a learner progresses through our exams. How does it work? Scores on the Cambridge English scale replace the standardised score and the candidate profile. Candidates receive an overall score on the Cambridge English scale, which determines the grade and CEFR level they obtain. Candidates also receive scores for each language skill they are tested on: reading, writing, speaking and listening, and use of English. Looking at the new statement of results, you can see what the candidate has achieved in each of the different skills, and how their performance in one skill compares to performance in another. These detailed results make it simple to describe the level of language skills needed for university admission or employment. Candidates and teachers also benefit from having better information about performance, making it easier to identify areas for improvement. Want to know more? The Cambridge English Scale is based on our extensive research and has been developed in response to feedback from users of our exams. To find out more, go to cambridgeenglish.org/Cambridge English Scale.
Okay, so as you can see, the Cambridge English Scale provides you with a very understanding of your results. And as I said at the beginning of the session, your magic number right now is 180. So whatever you do now is going to be towards getting at least that amount of points in the Cambridge English Skills. And as you could see there, depending on your performance of each particular component, you are going to get this result. Obviously, the better you perform in all the components, the better marks you are going to get. But in case you have, let's say, a weak link, which in most cases it is listening, do not panic, because even though you have a weak link, you may have a weak link, if you actually work in order to, let's say, improve your other skills, you can still pass the examination no matter how low that weak link is. Obviously, we are going to try to not to make it as weak as we think it might be. Okay, so this is something that you need to take into account. Do not panic if you find yourselves in difficulties in a particular section of the exam. Just keep working, because the more you practice, the better results you are going to get. Obviously, let me help you with that. Now, let's continue now. And in here, let's go now to the reading component. Now, as we said before, or as you could get from the Kahoot, the reading component, and I mean just the reading component, is composed by 5 parts of that paper. So sections 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all related to reading. So whenever we have mocks, or whenever you want to test yourselves and see your performance in the reading component, you have to take into account these particular sections of that paper. Obviously, this information is at UDEM Virtual. I am not going to go in depth in that, because we would lose time, because this is something that you can actually read and know by yourselves. But this is something, again, that you need to understand clearly. And today, I am going to tell you how many points you need just for the reading exam. As you can see in that chart, in order for you to pass the reading exam, just the reading exam, you need to get at least 32 points. 32 points out of 50. So now we have a second magic number. The most important magic number is 180. That's the number that you need to get, minimum. And in reading, the minimum number that you should get is, as you can see there, 32. Obviously, the different parts of the different sections of the reading exam will provide you with different marking. We're going to see that whenever we get to that particular section. But remember, out of 50 points in the reading exam, you must get at least 32. And that is, of course, to pass with C. The minimum is C. Okay? Whatever comes before that is not going to help you. So it's 32 and obviously way more than that. That is the assessment of the reading section. Now, before we get to the reading part 5, now I would really like you to tell me something, because so far you have been really, really silent. Now, until now, any questions, any ideas, any doubts that you may have related to the overview of the exam, the different parts of components of the exam? Remember, your participation is important. Even though we don't actually register or have marks on participation, your input or your feedback is always important in order to make this course better and also in the benefit of your colleagues in the course. I don't know if you have anything to say. Let's see, Carlos, Alejandra, Lucia, Laura, Jane, Milagros, Patricia, Milagros, Adria, Daniela, Gabriela, Macarena, Ana, and Carla. Okay, any idea?
Well, in my case, everything is clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lucia. Carlos, anything to say?
I have a
Yes.
question.
Okay, okay. Carlos had a question, but who said?
Go ahead.
that?
Laura.
Carla? No.
Go
Okay.
ahead, Carla.
Thank you. Yes, Carla, please tell me. Okay, let me stop my sharing so that we can see each other a little bit. Okay, Carla, please go ahead.
No, I'm Laura.
Laura, sorry.
Yeah, but you close the presentation. I have a question about it.
Okay, sorry. Let me share it again. So, in which part?
In the slide before, the 11th slide, I think it is.
Okay, this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
it says, so the whole reading section includes the reading and the use of English paper.
No, this is just reading. So remember, the reading paper, the paper is called Reading and Use of English, the paper. But the reading component is only related to, as you can read there, parts 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So even though Reading and Use of English is together as a paper, whenever we go for the assessment, they are separated. If you remember, or maybe you are not familiar with this, before 2015, the Reading and Use of English exams were separated. For example, we had an hour and 15 minutes for the reading exam and 35 minutes for the Use of English exam. But Cambridge, based on research, saw that it was better to put them together so that they could make the exam shorter. That is the reason why they put the exams together. And even though the exams are together in one single paper, physical paper, in terms of assessment, they are separated. That's why we say that whenever we want to know our performance in reading, we just put our attention on sections 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. While if you want to know your information related to use of English, you have to pay attention to sections 2, 3, and 4. Is that clear, Laura?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Now, I believe it was Carlos.
Yes, I have a question. At the end of the session, of the 16th session, is going to be a rehearsal? Is going to be a mock, a general mock?
Actually, before the 16th session. My intention, tell me.
Yeah, but it could be interesting, at the beginning and at the end, in order to see the progress,
Actually, you already have a diagnostic test. Remember that I showed you that diagnostic test in UD Virtual?
Okay, yes.
There you have a diagnostic test. And I said, I recommend you to have that diagnostic test. We don't have to do it now because, first of all, it would take a long time. And I believe it's more important for us to practice in our sessions, because those exams, you can do it in your free time. But I really recommend you to go over that diagnostic test. You have in there all the parts of the exam: reading, use of English, writing, and the listening and the answers.
Yeah.
Plus, and remember what I told you before, the writing section of that diagnostic is your first written assignment. So you have to go there, get to see the essay that you see that you are going to find there, and for next class you have to send it to UD Virtual so that I can check that essay and I can give you feedback based on that diagnostic of your writing exam, of your written exam, sorry.
Yeah, but I'm saying more like a simulation of the exam with time, you know, with time, like a real exam, you know, apostrophe real exam, something like that.
So, we are going to do mocks based on the parts that we are going to work. Let's suppose
Yeah, but
that
just the parts, not the whole exam.
Yeah, because the whole exam would take 1 hour 30 minutes, and we have 2 hours of classes. So as I said,
okay.
eventually towards the end of our course, we are gonna put more mocks. That from time to time we're gonna have, let's say, a small mocks of the part that we are going to see. For example, let's suppose that by the 5th session we have seen reading and use of English parts 3, 5, and 6. So in session 6, we're gonna have a mock for sections 3, 5, and 6. And like that.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking you because on the other course, on the FC at University Piura, University, we did the same. We did the same mock, you know, something like a real exam with time, with everything. But I'm just asking you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, it's very nice that you tell me that, so that I can consider to do that. So eventually, as I said, we are going to have small mocks related to the particular part that we are going to do. If you're asking about a full mock, that's something that I have to ask, because that's something that actually we don't want to do because of the amount of time. We want to have as much practice as possible in these sessions. Obviously, I understand that mocks are important, but they are time consuming. That is the thing. And that's something that we believe, most of the cases, you can do in your spare time. This is like, okay, let's get to work on the parts, let's practice on the strategies, let's practice on that. And obviously, little by little, we're gonna be giving some small mocks related to those particular parts, because in the end, when you put them all together, you're gonna make a full mock. But anyway, thank you very much, Carlos, for the suggestion. The only thing that I can tell about it is that we are gonna consider it. And that's, I believe it's a valid point that you make.
Okay, thanks.
Don't worry. Okay, is there any other question? No, because I saw something on the chat. Yes, let's see. Okay, yes, 90 minutes. 90 minutes for the reading and use of English exam, okay? Now, my objective is for you to work the reading and use of English exam in 77 minutes. That's my goal. Depending on the timing I'm gonna give you, you should be able, in normal cases, obviously, to finish the exam in 77 minutes, 80 tops. So that you have the remaining 10, well, just to spare. Okay, don't worry. Thank you, Patricia. So let's continue. Let's continue with reading and use of English part 5. Now we are gonna go to the actual practice. So in case you haven't done it, please go to UD Virtual, go to our reading section, and go to the PDF document from theory to practice, okay? Because that's the PDF document that we're gonna start working right now, okay? So basically, this is the layout of reading and use of English part 5. Obviously, at my English lab, you're gonna find more information, more general information about this. This is just something that you need to remember. Remember, there are 6 questions, multiple choice questions, in which you have to choose the correct answer based on the information that is on the text. You have, as I said, 6 questions and you have 12 marks. But here comes my question. How much time do you think should be, let's say, enough to work this particular section of the exam? How much time? Please, could you write your idea in the chat box? Please write your idea in the chat box. Please, how much time do you think we should employ working on reading part 5? Okay, let me check the chat very quickly. The document is from theory to practice. Okay. Okay, Lucia says 12, fantastic. Carla, 15. Thank you. Anna says 10, okay, fantastic. So far in between 10 to 15, which is okay. Anybody else? Okay. Now the number went up to 20. Great. Anybody else? Please don't be shy to write your opinion in there. In here, we are all learning about this exam. 12 minutes. And 15 minutes. Okay. Basically, the suggested time is 12 minutes. Obviously, I say suggested because it will depend on your performance and, as I said before, on your strengths and weaknesses. If this is, let's say, an easy part for you, maybe you can do it in 10. Normally, you will do it in 12. But if this is a difficult part for you, I really recommend you to consider 14 minutes. No more than 15 minutes, because if that happens, you would be losing time. So remember, the average time would be 12. If you have problems with this part, 14 minutes would be enough. If you have, let's say, this part as a check, 10 minutes would be more than enough. But again, depend on different cases. Now, let's see. I am going to stop my sharing, and I am going to go to the document that we have at UDEC Virtual. So again, let me show you what we have here at UDEC Virtual in case you haven't seen it. Okay, so this is what we have, UDEC Virtual. So remember to please fill in the survey related to getting to know you, so that I get information from you. So as you can see, in UDEC Virtual, you have, again, the CFR video, sorry, you have the Cambridge Scale video and the CFR video. And this is the diagnostic test, Carlos, that I was referring to, okay? In here, you're gonna find all the parts of the exam, and in here, you're gonna find the writing assignment that you have for next week. And in the reading section, that is the one that we're going to do right now, you're gonna find this document called From Theory to Practice. You're gonna find this document for every single part of the exam. Obviously, everything is ready there, so the only thing is that you cannot see it yet, because we're gonna make it visible little by little, but this is the one that I want you to open right now, okay, From Theory to Practice. So let me share what we have here. Okay, no, this is document. Fantastic. So this is the document that we have so far. As you can see, session 1, reading part 5. And obviously, the skills that I would like you to practice in this particular section are deducing text meaning from context and interpreting the text for inference and style. The practice for these skills is at My English Lab. So in here, we're gonna practice, as I said, the techniques that you need to apply for this particular section, but the practice of the skills is what you are going to find at My English Lab. So as I said before, please find the time, go there, and get some practice. Now, this is the first test that we have. Now, let me, just to check the layout, let me put it here in 2 pages so that we see it like this. Now, okay, in this particular section, I really want your participation, because now this is where we are going to get to work this particular section of the exam, or the techniques for the particular section of the exam, step by step. Okay, so let's suppose that we have this part of the exam, you have this section in here. So what do you do first? And of course, why? What do you do first? Okay, read the questions, but what do you mean by read the questions?
Like
because I mean, it's a tricky definition if you say just read the questions.
maybe highlighting the parts, the important parts of the question.
Okay, thank you. But when you say questions, you mean the alternatives too?
No, only the question.
Okay, that's important. Okay, I still don't recognize your voices. Who told me that? Macarena, I believe.
Macarena, yeah.
Okay, Macarena. Thank you, Macarena. And why is it not a good call to read the alternatives?
Because when we are going to read, you're going to like understand the whole question. If you know what it's about the question, you can read and have the result, because you're going to get confused, I think.
Okay, thank you, Macarena. Any other idea related to this? So Macarena said we have to read the questions first. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Maybe you want to go to the text first. So what's your approach?
Well, I prefer, can I talk?
You, of course, this is a free country.
Okay, thank you. Well, I prefer to find the keywords in the question
Where?
first. In the
Okay,
question.
question first. Okay.
Questions and answers to find the keywords, and then I go to the reading.
Mhm.
I feel more comfortable doing that.
Okay, so Milagros, you say you read the questions and the alternatives.
Yes.
I mean, highlighting the important information and then going to the text. Fantastic. That's a different approach. Obviously, what I'm going to say here is another recommendation. I cannot, let's say, command you to follow my way. It's a recommendation. Feel free to use it or feel free to combine it with your own approach. Okay, so far, Milagros and Macarena gave their thoughts. Anybody else?
Me.
Yes, who? Who's
Tamara.
me? Tamara?
Anna.
Anna. Thank you, Anna. Yes, tell me.
All right, so I think a good way to solve this exercise is to first read the first question and then go to the text and just read the first paragraph, because the first question says that, I mean, the idea is in the first paragraph. So it would be better to read the first paragraph and answer that question. Because if we read all the questions, we're going to take a lot of time.
Okay, so your approach would be going question by question.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Now, you mentioned something important, Anna, and that's something that you have to remember. The order of the questions follow the order of the text. It means, I mean, even though it is not stated there in some cases, you're going to find the answer to the first question either between the first and the second paragraph. So it means that you don't have to go back. So if you already found the answer, you don't need to go back, or you are not going to find the answer for question 5 in the first paragraph. You just carry on reading what you have to understand. Now, what Anna also mentioned is important. There are 2 ways to do this. And either way, you need to do this. You need to read the questions first. And by reading the questions, I mean just the questions. Why? Because if you read the alternatives, if you think it carefully, 75% of the alternatives are wrong. I think that's quite obvious. So if you read the alternatives, you are putting information in your head that you don't need. And whenever you go to the text, and this happens very frequently, since you have information from distractors, if you read that information in the text, your temptation is going to be, okay, that's the answer. And most of the time, that is not the answer. So the first thing that you have to do, and this is something that we are going to do together right now, is we are going to isolate the questions. Just the questions. Please read the questions now. I mean, we are going to try to do it together and try to locate, highlight, or make a mental note, or perhaps you can do it on the text. I'm going to try to do it with you. The most important information of the question. Let's try to analyze the questions, okay? So I'm going to give you just 1 minute. Please read just the questions, and let's try to break them down into what they really need. Okay, you can do it with the screen that you have in front of you. You can do it with the document if you have it in front of in your computer. Please go just over the questions. Okay, you have 1 minute. Okay, so let's try to go very quickly over the questions. As I said, just the questions. For the moment, forget about the alternatives. Okay, what do we need to, what do we need in question 1? So what is the most important information that we need in question number 1? So what do we need for question number 1?
Patricia
Patricia, research.
Grant's research.
Okay, learn about.
No.
What we learn.
Learn, fantastic. And I was about to say that. Concentrate on verbs. Concentrate on the specific actions, because those actions will tell you what to look for. In this case, learn about Patricia's research. Okay, since we are not in the real exam, let's try to work all the questions so that we know what we are looking for. Okay, what about number 32?
2 experiments mentioned.
Okay, but what will be the main verb in here? Mention or concern?
Concern.
In this case, concern. So experiments mentioned, concern. So obviously, what the experiments are about, basically. Okay, what about 3? Would be?
Conclusions.
So you're looking for a conclusion. So whatever you're gonna find here is related to a conclusion. 4 or 34. I'm sorry. One of the pieces of research mentioned in the first paragraph indicated. Okay, fourth paragraph. Okay, pieces of research.
Indicated.
Sorry, indicated. Fantastic. Next. Actually, it's in the middle.
Writer's purpose.
Okay, so you need this. So you are looking for the purpose in the 5th paragraph. Fantastic. Last but not least, 36. The writer.
The point.
Research.
Okay, the writer mentions research in order to make a point. So writer mentions, okay, make a point. Okay, okay, mentions to make a point. So she wants to, or okay, the author wants to put emphasis into something. So this is, I'm sorry, this is what your paper, well, your physical paper should look like. Okay, how do I erase this? Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't matter. So things that happen. Okay, so let's suppose that we have this. Now, this is the moment where we are going to go to the text. Until now, again, we haven't checked the alternatives. This is what you know. This is what you need to find. So remember, you don't need to understand the whole text in order to answer the questions correctly. You don't even have to read the full text completely. You just need to pay attention to the sections where where they tell you you're gonna find the information. As I believe it was Anna, I don't remember very well, or Macarena, I believe, you please pay attention to what you need in question 31. In this case, learn about Patricia Greenfield research. And please go to the first paragraph. I'm gonna make it bigger so that we can all see it. And please try to find that information in this first paragraph. This is the, I'm sorry. This is the first paragraph. So please read this first paragraph and let's try to locate the information that the question is asking you. And listen what I say. Locate the information that the question is asking you. I didn't say answer the question. Just locate where the information is.
I think it's in the first sentence.
In the first sentence. Okay. Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's remember what we need. We need it says
we learn about Patricia.
What do we learn about Patricia's research? Okay, so let's see. Let's see this. Okay, in an article in Science, Patricia Greenfield, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So by now, you are just looking at the information there. Obviously, I am not going to tell you the piece of information because we are doing this little by little. Okay, let's suppose now that you found the information. So you know that the information for answering question 1 is here. Now, you go now to the alternatives. This is the first moment in the exam where you are going to see the alternatives. Why? Because you are going to compare. And this is the important thing here. This is a skill that you need to develop. The ability, the skill of comparing and contrasting. You need to compare the information that you find in the text with the information that each of the alternatives gives you. And in this case, I'm going to write it in the chat, you have to use an approach that is called prove it wrong. Sorry, I sent it just to Alejandra, so let me write it to everyone. Prove it wrong. So this is the approach that you are going to use. And actually, this is the name of the technique. The name of the technique for working, reading, and use of English Part 5 is prove it wrong. Okay, what is the idea? The idea is that you compare each alternative with the information you found in the text. If you cannot prove that the alternative is wrong, that means that that is the correct answer. I don't know if you follow what I'm saying. Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay, this is the idea. So you compare information from the text with information of the alternative. Okay, so the text says this, but the alternative says that. Okay, so the alternative, okay, no, this is not related to what I have here. So you try to prove the alternative wrong. You have to prove the alternative wrong. Okay, so this is not the alternative because of this, this, and that. Okay, B is not the alternative because this, and that. Okay, C, let's put the example that is C. Okay, C, okay, no, okay, I cannot prove that this alternative is wrong because everything that this alternative says has relationship with the text. So the alternative, again, that you cannot prove wrong is the correct answer. And that's what we are going to do right now. Please, can you tell me where specifically is the piece of information that we need in the first paragraph? What is that particular piece of information?
In the part that says review dozens of studies on how different media technologies influence our cognitive abilities.
Okay, so let's find it there. So is it on which line? Let me change color.
3rd and 4th.
Okay, let's see, line 2, 3, 4. Some of the studies indicated is a development in loss in science, how media technologies influence our fun. Some of the studies indicated that certain computer tasks, like playing video games, increase the speed. Okay, so let's see, some studies that certain computer tasks, like playing games, increase the speed at which people can shift their focus among icons and other images on the screen. Okay, so this is basically what we have. This is basically what we have. We may have more or less words, but this is basically what we have. Something that I really recommend you to do also is to have a highlighter. Of course, this is not the usual way in which we're going to work the exam. We're going to do it in a paper-based, but for the paper-based examination, try to have a highlighter so that you can relate this information. So taking into account that this is where we're going to find the information, now let's go back to the alternatives. Now, let's go to alternative A. It says, it focuses on problems resulting from the use of media technologies. I mean, does it mention problems related to media technologies? Yes or no?
No. No.
No, so, did we prove that this alternative is wrong?
Yes, wrong.
Yes, so the alternative is wrong. So that alternative is not the correct answer. So let's continue with B. It did not produce consistent patterns in connection with computer use. I mean, do we have information about patterns?
No.
No.
Again, no. So
No.
we proved the alternative wrong. Okay, let's go to C. It involved collating the results of work done by other people. Yes or no? Yeah, if you remember, here there are lots of references to other research. For example, it says, review dozens of studies of how media technologies influence our cognitive abilities. So this is correct. So can I prove this alternative wrong?
No.
No, because it is in the text. It is in the text. Fantastic. So let's go to D. It highlighted differences between people when using computers. I mean, do we remember something related to differences in that particular section? Yes, no?
No.
No, guys, I need you to work with me, please.
No.
No. So the only alternative that I cannot prove wrong is C, and C is the correct answer. And that is the approach that I have to do for every single question in this particular part. Until now, is this clear?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
Yes, no?
Yes.
No, because you understand everything, or no, because you understood nothing?
Yes,
No,
but
it's okay.
I feel that it will take a lot of time to finish one question.
Obviously, we took our time. We took our time because we were doing step by step. Obviously, when you get to practice, this is going to be easier. Now, let's do this. Let's try to work 32 together again, and then I'm going to give you some time to to work on your own questions 33, 4, 5, and 6. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. Now, obviously, we know that this question 32 is not going to be in the first, it's going to be, after the information in the first paragraph. So I forget about the first paragraph. I don't have to read the first paragraph anymore. So let's go to question 32. 2 of the experiments mentioned in the second paragraph, concern. So please go to the second paragraph and find the information that you need. Okay, let me put this here. So go to the second paragraph. This is the second paragraph. Please read or locate the information when we have ideas related to 2 experiments. Please. Okay, what do we find related to 2 researches there? No, I mean 2 researchers. No, what is the idea? Question 32. Let's see. Okay, 2 of the experiments mentioned in the second paragraph concerned. Okay, so where do we find that information? Okay, little by little, we're gonna go to the vocabulary, Carlos. Give us a second.
In the first sentence.
Okay, so let me put this here so that we can see it correctly. Okay, where is that?
In one experiment.
Okay, so here. Okay, in one experiment at the American University.
That's the first one.
Okay, Okay, so let's just highlight what we have related to this. I'm sorry for my highlighting skills. Okay, I'm good at English. I believe I'm a good English teacher, but I'm not good at drawing and stuff. Okay, so this is the information that we have. Fantastic. So now, let's see. So 2 of the experiments mentioned in the second paragraph concerned. Okay, they mentioned something related to the ability to understand, the ability to concentrate, in relationship with, in this case, the exposition to media, to the computer, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so let's see. the amount of attention people pay to what they see on computers. I mean, is that related to the information there? Is that what we need to answer this question? The amount of people pay, the amount of attention? Do they mention
No.
something about the amount of attention?
No,
No, there is no
mention about the
amounts.
amount.
No, they don't talk about anything related to amount of information. So again, wrong. Okay, B, the connection between computer use and memory.
No.
No.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, we're not so sure. Let's figure it out. Okay. Look. Those who browse the web perform much worse on the subsequent test of how well they retain the lecture's content. So what does it mean? Retention is related to?
Memory.
Memory.
It's related to memory. So remember, you are not going to find the exact same words. And that's something that I wanted to point out here. Yeah, because some of you were related to the word memory. You saw memory, but you didn't see the word memory here. Okay, that's not the answer. Yeah, but remember, retention in this particular case is related to memory. So be careful with synonyms, be careful with meaning behind the words, because that is important too. In this case, retention gives you the idea of memory. So yes, until now, this information is there. This information is there. Let's see, maybe we're wrong, maybe we're correct. Let's continue with the other ones. See, people do not care about the effects of computer use. Do they talk about, I mean, if people care or not? I'm sorry, that's 33. So 32, the use and non-use of computers for studying. Did they mention about that? Did they mention anything about that? The use of non-use of computers?
No.
No, they mentioned that they use computers for the experiment, but they don't mention anything related to the use of the use. So, wrong. And the changes that happen in people's computer uses increases. Do they talk about, changes in people's computers? Or the use of computers? No. So, according to our approach, what is the only alternative that we cannot prove wrong?
B.
B.
And B is the correct answer. Is the technique clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that yes sounds like,
Okay. Yes.
Okay, we believe you. Okay, guys, this is what we are going to do. And now questions 33, 4, 5, and 6 are for you. I am going to give you 5 minutes, because remember, you just need to read the information that is there in the paragraph so that you can locate the information. Remember, just go to that specific paragraph and locate the information. 5 minutes, and then we are going to compare. Okay, you have your 5 minutes. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yes, of course, you can download it. You can download it, of course. I mean, the document is for you to work. And just in case, before I interrupt again, I don't want to interrupt again. At 12 o'clock of every Friday at noon, I will upload the documents so that you have from 12 till 6 p.m. to download the documents so that you can print them and you can have them ready for you if you want to actually take notes or everything. So don't worry, I have that noted. So let's see you again in 5 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. Those 5 minutes have passed. So let's try to find the information that we need in order to answer the remaining 4 questions. Again, obviously, as I said before, it seems that we are taking too much time in each of the questions, but obviously it's because we are doing we are working the questions step by step. When you are working each of the questions on your own and you are obviously gaining more practice, you are going to find that this technique goes way faster than it seems to be. So the only recommendation I give you, give it a try. I understand that all of you have different, let's say, acquired techniques, and that's pretty much something normal. Compare your previous technique with this technique and see which works best for you. Sometimes we need to just adjust, sometimes we just need to change, we just need to modify maybe some things, but this the analysis, the personal analysis that you have to make right now as candidates for the C1 advanced exam. Because whatever we present to you is based on experience, based on research, and obviously based on the success of the different candidates we have trained. So it's a recommendation that I highly advise you to take, but of course you are free to take you make your final choice. Okay, having said that, let's go to question 33. So in this case, we have the conclusions. So we're looking for conclusions. So where do we find the information related to conclusions? I'm gonna ask you just to give me where the information is, and then we're gonna go just for the answers so that we don't lose too much time. So where do we find that information? Please, in the third, fourth paragraph? Yes, please let me know. Okay. So if you already finished, maybe you wanna type your answers in the chat. So for question 33, 4, 5, and 6, Patricia already did that. Thank you, Patricia, for your commitment. So in case you finished, give me your answers in there so that we can actually start with the comparison. But so far, where do we find the information for 33? In which paragraph? Obviously, it's not in the first, it's not in the second one. It is where? Guys? Sentence 9. Okay, sentence 9 of the third paragraph, I suppose. Yes, no?
No,
okay, so let's see.
Paragraph.
In the fourth paragraph. Okay, let's see.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Let's see, I don't see this because of the chat. Okay, fine. One of the pieces, okay, 33. One of the conclusions. One of the conclusions. It's in the third paragraph. And where is that conclusion? Where is that conclusion? Where can I see it?
Conclude that Greenfield.
Where is that conclusion? Because if you're giving me answers now, it's because you found the information. Remember, the important thing here is where you find information. Because if you just found the answer without finding the information, that is just a lucky guess. You have to know where the information is so that you can relate that information with the alternatives. That is the thing. So that's what I'm asking. Where is that information? Third paragraph, fourth paragraph, which line? Line 9, some of you were saying line 9, line 10.
When it says, however, that has been
by new weakness in high order cognitive process, including, okay, here, actually it is here, but obviously the most important piece of information is in the last line. We are becoming, in a word, shallower.
Mm-hmm.
That is basically the summary of that particular piece of information. So let's try to put it there. Fine. And in this particular case, the answer for question 33 is B, the computer use. This is the answer. The computer use has reduced a large number of mental abilities. That's the answer. Okay, what about 34? In this case, it says fourth paragraph. And the question is, one of the pieces of research mentioned in the front indicated that, okay, pieces of research. What piece of research are we talking about? Okay. What is that? In a recent experiment. Okay, here, in a recent experiment, that is the information that I need, etc., etc., etc. Okay, what is the answer for question 34? Can I check the chat? While I'm doing this, I feel like a child.
I put C.
Okay, and why C?
Because it talks about the increase of mental abilities in the people of the research.
And can you prove it? You can't prove it wrong. Remember the idea, you can't prove it wrong. So you were able to prove the other alternative wrong, and this is the only one that you couldn't prove wrong. Yes?
I couldn't prove wrong.
You couldn't prove it wrong. Fantastic. And actually, you are correct, because the answer for 34 is C. Again, 33B, 34C. Those are the answers. Later, I'm going to write the answers on the chat so that you can find everything ready. Okay, what about 35? What about 35? Okay, the writers, what is the writer's purpose in the 5th paragraph? So what is the purpose in the 5th paragraph? So this is the 5th paragraph. It would be one thing. Okay, what is the information there? Okay, thank you, Patricia, for writing your answers in the chat. Okay, what is the information here in paragraph 5 related to the purpose?
The alterations of the technology in the brain.
The alterations shape the way we think, even when we are not using technology. Okay, that is the purpose. Remember, we're looking for the purpose. What is the writer's purpose? Remember, when we're looking for the information, we're looking for the information related to the question, not the main idea of the paragraph. Maybe that's the main idea of the paragraph. We don't know, and actually it's not important to us. What is important now is the purpose of the writer in this particular paragraph. What is that information?
Maybe when they mention the ill effects. Those
the
two
long-term
words.
effect on quality of our intellectual lives, he said, could be deadly. Actually, he mentions everything that he mentions there is closely related to this. Okay, and what would be the answer for question 35? Can I have something in the chat? Okay, let's see. Question 35.
C or D? I don't know.
C or D? What about B or what about A?
A no, because I think he's not advising.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm still getting to know the voices. Who told me that?
Yanela.
Yanela, thank you, Yanela. And actually, the answer for question 35 is
C.
C. The answer is C. Question 35, C. And last but not least, question 36. The writer mentions, well, that name, and that I don't want to say because it's difficult to pronounce, research in order to make the point that okay, what is the point? So why does the author mention these researchers' work? In order to do what? So since we just have 15 minutes, I'm just gonna let it go like that, and then we're just gonna give you the answer. The answer for 36 is D. Okay, so 35 C, 34 C, and let's go back here. 33 we said B, 32 B, and 31 C. Okay, so far, how was it? How did it go? Did you find that the technique worked for you or not? Yes, guys, yes, no? Because this is the moment where you have to give me
I think
feedback.
it works for me.
Yeah?
I think it works for me, but I would need to print the document to make it easier.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Obviously.
would do it there.
Obviously,
It's
as I
really
said
difficult.
before, for every, I mean, we have classes at 6. At noon, that means 6 hours before, I'm gonna put everything in the UDEP Virtual. So you have time to print it and you have it ready.
Much
Thank
better.
you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Obviously, since this is our first session, you didn't know about this, obviously. So for our next session, that is going to be next Friday, you are going to have everything that we are going to do, that section, that session in UDEP Virtual so that you can print it and you can actually handle it. Now, as you can see, now Laura said, the time kills me. Obviously, I gave you just 5 minutes to work on this. But in normal conditions, you are going to have in between 12 to 14 minutes. So eventually, if you spend 2 minutes per question, you could basically work this in those 12 minutes. Obviously, there are some answers that are easier to find, so you can win some seconds there. Or as I said, if you find this particular part to be a little difficult, you can go up to 14 minutes. But this is the key question here. Using this technique, how many times do you have to read the whole document, the whole reading, to answer these 6 questions?
10 minutes.
No, how many times do you have to read the whole document?
One,
Twice?
maybe 2.
Twice?
Once. You just need to read the whole document once. Not even the whole document, just the parts where you need to find the information. And in case, and because that happens, in case you have 2 similar answers and you cannot decide which is the correct one, you just carry on with the others and you come back to that particular question. But in order to answer that question, do you have to read the whole text again or not?
No, just the part that is the answer.
Thank you. Yane, that's a short form of Yanela, I suppose?
Yes.
Okay, Yane, is that okay, Yane or Yanela?
Yanela.
Okay.
I don't know how to change the name.
I believe you can do it. Okay, let me check. Yes, you can do it. You can rename your name. You can rename yourself. Okay. So, but anyway, yes, you just have to, make sure that to read the document just once. I mean, the whole document. If you see that you are reading the document twice or 3 times, you are doing something wrong because you are losing precious time. More than enough is to read the document just once. Now, as you can see in the document, and let me share my screen with you again. You have here 5 practices. 5 practices. So take as much holiday as you want, etc., etc., etc. So this is the practice that is related to the techniques of the exam. As I said before, the practice that you're going to find at UDEP Virtual is related to the skills. For example, what skills do you need to practice here? What skills do you need to practice in here? Finding what? Finding
the keyword.
Finding keywords, for example, or finding the main idea of the paragraph, or finding the writer's purpose. So all the practice related to the skills is the one that you're going to practice, you're going to find at my English lab. And all the practice related to the technique, to this prove it wrong. And again, in case you didn't understand the technique, let me show it to you here. What is this here? Here. I hope this opens. As you can see here in the overview and technique section of UDEP Virtual, you are going to find the technique step by step. So in case you didn't understand a particular step that is here, so you can take a look at that and you can follow these steps to the line so that you can actually practice whenever you have the chance. So for every single part of the exam, you have this section called from theory to practice, so that you know what to do when you face that particular section of the exam. Okay, and as I said before, in each of the handouts, you're gonna find 5 exercises. In class, we are gonna try to work 2. Obviously, since this was our first session and we had to go over the guidelines, etc., we didn't have much time to work 2, but you have the remaining sections to work at home. And as soon as we finish with the class, I am going to open the answer keys, because, for example, Patricia was asking me for the keywords or answer key. Patricia, was that keywords or answer key? Patricia? Okay, I understand. Okay, as soon as we finish with the class, I'm gonna open, or I'm gonna make visible the answer keys of those 4 readings so that you can practice at home and you can check your performance there. Obviously, if you score between 3 to 4 correct answers, you are on the right track. If you score 5 to 6, you are just fine. Keep practicing on that. And if you score less than 2, it means, if you score less than 2 in 2 or 3 consecutive exercises, it means that this is a weak part for you. So if you just score, let's say, badly in one particular exercise, it's okay. Maybe the reading was too difficult. Maybe you didn't quite understand the thing. There are many different possibilities. But if you score low grades in one particular part of the exam for 3 or more times in a consecutive way, that means that that is a weak part for you, and you need to put more emphasis in that particular section. Okay, so any questions related to this particular reading part 5? Yes? No? Everything is clear?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I'm Patricia.
Patricia,
but it's about the exam. I don't know if I can take a highlighter or a text liner to it, because for me it's better like highlighting the idea. So I don't know, it's okay if I take a highlighter? Okay,
it's okay. And actually, I really recommend you to do that, especially for part 6, because the technique that we're going to use in part 6 of the reading, it's called the rainbow technique. So, the technique of reading part 5 is prove it wrong. The technique for reading part 6 is the rainbow technique. And for that, obviously, you need colors. I try to name the techniques with these names so that they are easy to remember. Pretty much all the parts of the exam have techniques. Pretty much all the parts of the exams have something to do. And so most of the time they are similar. The only part where you don't have a specific technique are reading part 1 and use of English part 2. And we are gonna see that in that moment, because that's what we call knowledge parts. These are technique parts, but those are knowledge parts, because you know the answer or you don't know the answer. There is no technique. You know the answer, you go for that. You don't know the answer, there is no the Team Marine doping web like that. But for the rest of the exam, there are techniques, there are steps to follow, and we are going to try to give you all those techniques. Okay.
We will have to check the answers on the paper, or we will have another sheet to make. I don't know.
You mean in the real exam?
On the real exam.
Well, in the real exam, you're going to have something that we call the answer sheet.
Okay.
And actually, you have to transfer all your answers to the answer sheet. Actually, in the paper, in the booklet, as we call it, you can write whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
You can write whatever you want. You can make notes. You can highlight. You can write Cesar Sachs if you want. No problem. But you can write whatever you want, because the thing that matters is the answer sheet, because that's where you're going to transfer your answers.
Okay,
Don't
yes.
worry about highlighting the paper, the booklet, because the booklet is destroyed right after the exam. So
Okay.
don't worry, just do whatever you want in terms of getting what you need. Okay, any
thank
other?
you.
Yes, thank you, Patricia. No, thank you, because I saw you writing a lot in the chat. I saw you participating a lot, and actually that's something I really like, guys. I know this was it was our first session. Obviously, we're getting to know each other. We're gonna get to know each other a little bit better in the following months, but I really recommend you to, let's say, to break the ice. Okay, so this is gonna work in the way that you participate, because as you can see, I try to compare the technique that I show you with your own technique, with your own experience, because everything that you bring to the class, I was about to say classroom, everything that you bring to the class, to the sessions, is important, because you have experienced, you are experienced, let's say, candidates. Even if you took FCE or you haven't taken the exam, but you have prepared somehow. And that experience is important. And by comparing that experience with the techniques that we share with you, we can make a very powerful, let's say, force that can, let's say, kill the beast. Okay, now for the next session, we are going to start with speaking part 1. So for next time, please be ready to have some speaking practice. Remember that part 1 is basically an individual presentation. I mean, you're not gonna present yourselves, but we're gonna practice some questions related to that. Before we go, because we have just 3 minutes, let me show you the diagnostic test that Carlos was talking about at the beginning of the session. So, let's see. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so as I was telling you, in this diagnostic test, you're gonna find a full C1 advanced exam. So you're gonna find reading, writing, use of English, listening, and some pictures for the speaking exam. But what I want you to give me, for next session is what I'm gonna show you right now. Okay, let's see. Can you see it? Yes or not? Guys?
No.
No? Okay, no. Yes, I was about to say that. Okay, so where is this? So this is the exercise that you are going to find in that diagnostic test related to writing. As you know, the writing paper has 2 sections. The first section is related to the essay. I mean, you cannot escape the essay, you have to write the essay. And the next session is related to, a choice. Remember that you have either emails, letters, proposals, reviews, and reports. They always give you 3 choices and you have to choose just one. But since this is just the first diagnostic, I'm gonna ask you just to write this essay. So please write this essay. I mean, write it, don't type it, write it, because in the exam that you're gonna take, you have to write it. Obviously, if you write it, try to do it in the best way possible. Take a picture of your work and upload it into UDEP Virtual so I can, give you feedback based on your writing. If you have experience writing essays, great, put it into practice, because one thing is to write an essay and another thing is to write an essay suitable for the exam. And that's something that we're gonna see next class, but I want to see where you stand in this particular case. And in case you have no experience about it, give it a try. Give it a try, because in that way, we're gonna see again where you are towards this particular section. So ways all those can influence on how younger people behave. So read the instructions, write the essay, follow the instructions between 220 to 260 words. And those are the guidance that you have to follow. And just to finish, remember that you have to upload it here. Okay, where is this? Here. Okay, so you have to come all the way down. So this is the space where you are going to put it. So agregar entrega, and you just upload your picture. Okay, so remember, every single class I am going to give you a particular written assignment. Okay, so that you can get practice related to this. Okay, my friends, it's 8 o'clock. Do you have any questions before we close our first session?
No.
No, it's okay?
No question.
Okay,
Everything's okay.
Okay. Okay, guys, thank you very much for being here. I totally understand. I am a load. I am not really, I am a load. I talk a lot, but it's always with the first intention. It's always with the best intention. My intention, your objective has become now my objective. I really want you to get your C1 advanced exam. And for that, we have to practice a lot. We have to, I mean, it's the only way. 60% of success, no, actually 65%, 55% of success at passing these exams is preparation. English is important, but it's not the most important tool. It's preparation, it is a strategy, it is hard work. And we are here to get you that, strategy and hard work. And for that, I am here for you. As I always say, use me and abuse me. I have no problem with that. And please, whatever, if you have anything else to tell me, just send me a message to my email there, and I'll be more than happy to help you. And just in case, we're gonna upload these sessions in UDEP Virtual. You're gonna find a space there where all these sessions will be recorded, the recorded sessions, in case you want to check up with something one more time. Okay, thank you, Carlos, for the claps, and thank you, claps for you for your participation in here. Take care, see you next week, and enjoy the rest of the week, the rest of the weekend. Well, Saturday, because Sunday you have to stay at home. Okay, thank you very much. Take care. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.